these videos are intended for the person just starting out in the harp. And here, I'll just get your ears back in gear. As I got it tuned in B flat. Or no, I don't. I have it in F. I have the B's down to B flat. Anyway, because this harp has got, see, levers that are a little wackadoo. See? But anyway, I've learned from teaching a lot of years, and also from, you know, just having studied since I was 4 or 5, that you learn a lot from your mistakes. So actually, you might learn more. So it's one thing to go to a teacher and have them give you the guidance and say, well, here's the best way to do it. But you know what? You know, sometimes trial and error is your best teacher. And obviously, you know, there might be a better way to do it, and your teacher could provide that help. But I think if you know why the way that your teacher is trying to get you to do something might be better or more beneficial or whatever, that's actually more instructive than just sort of going with it. If you actually do it wrong, you actually might say, oh, well, now that I'm doing it right, or quote-unquote right, you know, I understand now why that's actually a better way to do it. So, disclaimers aside, but I've been through this plenty, and I will say that, you know, very often you can backslide and you can slip back into old habits. And so sometimes actually knowing what the old habit feels like compared to the new will help you go back to the new. And I think that applies in life, don't you? I'm going to do another glissando. I'll do it this side this time. Ready? Listen, here we go. Oh, missed the last one. Okay, continue on. Hi, so today's pro tip, we're going to talk about hand position. And if you're anything like me, when you were first starting out, you probably did this, which is going into the string at a right angle or perpendicularly. So let me just sort of turn the harp this way a little bit. So, which means that you would be going kind of like that. And what you really would ultimately want to get is your thumb up and your fingers down so that you're actually having more of this shape. And if you notice this, when I'm like this, it's kind of hard to see on the camera. I could hold it maybe like that. Hello, can you see? Okay, notice this. More or less, when my hand is like this, where I can touch all the strings with my thumbs up and my fingers kind of down, my hand is actually making kind of a flat plane. Like I could touch the side of the harp and see how flat that is. When I'm going this way, notice I've got, you know, my middle finger is longer, my second and fourth are a little shorter. My thumb is totally shorter. So you have to kind of distort everything to do that. So, but again, I did the same thing when I first started, and I played like that. I still notice when I look at my videos that my thumb has a tendency to, how can I turn my hand here? Can you, to go under my second finger. And, you know, I'll pluck how you're supposed to with your thumb going down, your fingers going this way, but my thumb tends to sneak under there. So, I don't, you know, who knows if that's entirely a bad thing. Everybody's different. Everyone's playing technique is different. Everyone's harps are different. You know, some strings can be narrower spaced, more narrowly spaced. So, you know, you might have to alter your technique some to avoid string buzzes and just to get your fingers in there properly. I know wire strung harps and, you know, with, you know, the old Clarsach and, you know, the Irishy wire harps can be very narrow, and they use their fingernails, and their hands are generally kind of like what I was showing you not to do. But anyway, so to each their own. But I have noticed another benefit of not only playing this way with your thumb up and your fingers down and creating that sort of flat plane, is that your tone will sound very different. And I think it sounds, when you're playing more from this sort of, again, it's hard to show the ankle, can you see? Right there. If I play from there, rather than from the very top of my fingertip, if I play from the side of it, that would be touching the string, I get a rounder sound. And it's a fuller sound, as opposed to this, which right now kind of sounds the same. Notice there was a little buzz in there, so you might run the risk of buzzing, maybe. This might get your finger out of the way so you don't end up buzzing. So there's my my words of wisdom for the people just starting out. So if you see yourself doing this, just do this. I saw a couple YouTube videos. One was a lady said, now wave like a baby. So notice when you're waving like a baby, your hand is kind of like that. So your thumb is up and your fingers are like that, and they go like this. What's another one? Oh yeah, holding a Coke can. So obviously, you know, if there's a can in there, there's some space. And so when your fingers collapse, there's still that space. Somebody said, oh, well, it feels like you're, you know, holding a butterfly. You don't want to, you know, hurt the poor thing. You just gently close your fingers, and they will pull into your palm. So I don't know if you can see that. See how that works? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Okay, well anyway, hope that helped. Next lesson will be about the other very important thing, which is placement. So I'll save that for another day. All right, thank you. Hello again. Hello again. This is kind of off the cuff. Get it? I have another cuff down there, but it's supporting the rest of me. One thing I've heard too, and I've noticed as well, is that when you're putting your hand on the harp, again I'm playing the air harp, is that, you know, with your thumb up and your fingers pointing down, I think the angle of your fingers go to the opposite side of the soundboard. So if you're looking through the strings with your fingers, with little eyeballs on the ends of your fingers, they're looking down at the, you know, the soundboard. They're not just sort of, you know, kind of, I don't know if they're looking at the middle of the soundboard. I always thought it was going to the opposite side, and I kind of think of, this is just me, that, you know, kind of more toward, angled more toward, get my hand so you can see, maybe the middle of the soundboard, but, you know, in between the very middle and the edge, so kind of in between there somewhere. The other thing too, yeah, this is like my brain. This is your brain on afterthoughts. I'm having like an afterthought about my afterthoughts. Oh, this. Okay. So I play the mountain dulcimer. Some of you probably do too. And like if you've looked at some videos of people that do a lot of finger picking, I've noticed that they go at a diagonal across the string, almost like not quite, you know, going, what would it be, vertically, almost in the same, you know, that's my refrigerator bonker. How can I describe it? So, for example, you could, here's your options. You could go straight across the string perpendicularly, and that gives one kind of sound. You could also go literally try to pluck the string along the length of the string, and that wouldn't work very well. But if you go kind of at a slight diagonal, you get this beautiful, warm, round, full sound without that sort of tinny plick at the very beginning. It's almost like you're kind of stroking the string and kind of caressing the string, as opposed to giving it a, you know, like a kind of a twang, which would be more right-angled perpendicular. And I've also noticed this too, is that each finger has its own sound. So when I'm playing mountain dulcimer, if I want to get maybe like a slightly brighter sound versus a slightly, you know, more warm sound, I pick a finger to use. Usually my third finger, I notice, and also the part of your finger that you use. So all these things are things you generally don't think about. I've been playing the harp for about 10 years now, maybe, and it's only recently that I noticed that using this little side part of my finger as opposed to more, you know, maybe other parts, does make a difference. And I remember sitting in the orchestra pit, you know, playing piano, sitting next to the harp player, and talking about this, and she said, yeah, you know, you get a better tone doing blah, 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 and I didn't know what the blah, blah was. Still not sure, but, you know, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed some of this blah, blah. And I try to get the kitty back up. He's still sleeping. All right, well, thanks for listening, and I hope that helps. In a nutshell. Okay. Again. So this tip is about placement, and that's the other really, I mean, probably the most important thing in, I think, in playing the harp. And this is coming from a pianist for many, many, many years. I kind of do the same thing. If you're a pianist, you probably know what I'm talking about, is that you kind of form the chord in your hand ahead of time. And as it's coming down on the piano, it's already starting, it's a 4-note chord, your hand looks like this, or maybe like that, or maybe like this. Different finger spacings and different finger combinations going down. So that definitely applies to the harp. Here's what most people do, including me, when I first started, is to flail at it, like this, to kind of swat it. And so therefore you're coming at the string from a distance and you're kind of giving it a pluck that way. And what you want to do, and this is very important, if you learn nothing else today, is place and pluck. Place and pluck. So here's your finger, ready? You're going to place it. And then you're going to pluck it. So touch the string, pull it off. So, and that works not just for one string at a time, but it also works for multiple strings in it, like in a one note at a time melody, for example. So watch this. Here we go. So I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I'll do this hand. It's probably easier to see. So I'm going to play, C, D, E, F, and, of course the rookie thing to do is to, go in and at a right angle and to swat the string and pull it away and swat the string, pull it away. See what I'm doing? I'm just kind of, doing that, kind of whacking the string. And what you really want to do is, if that was the word, I don't know, door, for example, or harp, that's an even better word, H-A-R-P. Well, what if every time you saw H-A-R-P and you never realized that was a word that spelled the word harp? So it's a lot easier if you know what the word is, and then you can spell it out later, as opposed to seeing H-A-R-P and saying, oh yeah, H-A-R-P, that's nice, okay, bye. And then, not realizing that that spelled the word cat, right? So here we go. So you put all your fingers on H-A-R-P, and see, can you see me? Can you see? And so I have the whole word, and now I'm going to spell it out. This is a huge concept in harp. You have to think in multiple notes, just like a word that has many letters smushed together. So, and when I actually play C, D, E, F, I actually pull each letter of the word off. So now I'm going to spell the word just by pulling my fingers off. So I place them. Now I'm going to pluck. Ready? That sounded kind of patronizing, didn't it? Sorry. So you go C. See that? Now that's the letter H. We're in German, apparently. Oh, that was a big old pluck, right? So you got to be careful you don't do that. And also, there was a little bit of a string buzz on the finger that was above it. That was a little better. And now watch what my thumb does. Boink, it goes down like that. Does that make sense? So let's do it again. And actually, I kind of like doing my right hand better, but you can't see it. Anyway, nothing against the left. I don't know. I think maybe one hand's maybe a little better at it than the other. I do notice this too with my left hand. It's a slightly different angle than my right. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what's up with that. Maybe it's just because you're sitting with the harp in your right shoulder and your hands are kind of wackadoo. Feel free to chime in and correct any of this. I'm still learning too. So the other thing too is, notice you can also spell harp backwards. What would it be? Pra. So you go here, get your harp word again, and you're going to go P, which is your thumb, R, A. I can spell harp backwards. H, right? Okay. So let's just use letters. So if you put on C, D, E, F, which spells the word cadef, it would be versa def. C, D, E, F. And then if you spell it backwards, F, E, D, C, which is, don't ask me, F, Fedec? I don't know. What would it be? Fedka. So, or Fedsa. F. See, my thumb's off. These are on. Now I only have 2 fingers on. Now I have 1 finger, and now I'm done. So I'm off the harp. It compares a lot to knitting or crochet, where you usually generally have 1 loop on the needle or the hook at all times, unless you're casting on or casting off. Here's the deal that you can get this concept. I know this is kind of a lot for a little tiny tip. But if you can notice, I went in one direction, I placed and I pulled everybody off, and then I placed again, and I pulled everybody off, and I went either up or down. That's notated with brackets in your music, so they would write, 4, 3, 2, 1 with a bracket over that sucker, and then they would go, put another bracket with 1, 2, 3, 4, that I did. Sometimes you get a passage that goes up and down, and the top note is shared. So, for example, if I were, a beginner, and this is what I no doubt would have done, I would have hit the note, hit the note, hit the note, hit the note, and then right back down. So essentially, I'm, disjointing every single string. There is no word. Here's what's tricky. You ready? This is important. If you can get this, you're well on your way to harpdom. Okay. Like I know I'm still getting there myself, but I did discover this is important. So look, if you've got your word placed and you're going to go up, you ready? You're going to go C, D, E, and I'm going to go back down again. Now, instead of pulling my thumb off and placing it all on again. See what I did there? And going back down again. Notice I'm not going to hit the F twice. So here's what you don't want to do. You ready? Now you can do it. I do it plenty, but there's another way to do it. So watch. Here's what you can do. You place the word and you go up. Now that F you hit once and everybody's off. Replace and just hit the bottom fingers. So essentially you didn't really even need to replace your thumb. Here, try this. You ready? Okay, so you're going to actually leave your thumb on there and you're going to replace everybody else while the thumb is sitting there. So you're going to reverse directions with a little loop-de-loop at the top. Now this was a hard concept for me to get. Now I can do it sort of. So you go C, I have 3 fingers on. D, I have 2 fingers on. E, now my thumb is still there. Before I play the F, I'm going to replace those 3 fingers. Now I'm going to hit the F, and I'm going to go down. So in a way, if you want to think of it this way, is that F is only pulled off on the way down. Does that make sense? I think, I don't want to overload you, but that would be something. Now, there's also something where you turn under, so watch this. I'm going to go, for example, when you're doing a scale, C, D, E. Before I lift that F and I'm going to keep going G, A, B, C, I turn, look what I did here. I turn my 4 underneath, I've got my thumb still touching that F, and I got my 4 under here, see that? Touching the next string up. And before I play the F, well no, yeah, I have this 4th finger on that G before I play the F. Now I'm going to play the F. Watch, here we go. Bonk. And I'm immediately going to place the other 3 fingers going up, and then I play the G. G, A, B, C. So watch that again. It's just a way of doing a scale, and this is called turning under. So we ready? Under. Replay, oh, well, string bus. And A, B, C. Going down, you cross over. So it's the same thing. You place everybody first. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, B, A, G. Ready? I'm going to go down from the C, remove all my fingers. Before I get rid of this G on my 4th finger, I'm going to touch the F with my thumb, and I'm going to play the G, and I'm going to swing my other fingers out, and I'm going to play, F, E, D, C. So essentially you're going from this G, A, B, C placement to this C, D, E, F placement, and you either have a cross over or you have a turn under, but you always place. So I think I'm talking as much as the birdies chirping. Do you hear them? They're saying, you're not doing it right. Do it over. Anyway, no, they're loving all of my harp music. Can you tell? Listen, let's just listen for a minute. They're saying, place and pluck. So I hope that helped. I know it helped me. I'm still working on it. Boy, those scales are tough. I'm still working on them. And then you got to do two-handed scales like this. You go bonk, 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 and then you turn under. And then you go backward. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Then you turn over. That idea. Oh, I do want to say one more thing before I hang up. Is this. The same applies not just to scales, but to chords. This is also really important. So, instead of going G, D, D, G, see what I did there? Put the whole shebang on there. I've got the G, I got the B, I got the D, I got the G. Just get it on there, okay? And then pull it off one thing at a time. Bonk, 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 bonk. Same thing if I'm going down. Bonk, 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 bonk. I place everything on there and spell it out, okay? If I'm going to go up and down without repeating that high G, here's what you do. You go replace it. You go uppity, 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 and then before I go hit this G, I'm going to replace everybody. Down, diddy, down, diddy, down, diddy, down. Okay, so watch that again. Up, 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 replace. Down, 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 down. A new chord, C chord, for example. Up, 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 replace. Down, 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 down. And again, you can have, just a 3-note Charlie. You could have a, a 3-note octave with a 5th in the middle. Now, the last thing I'll say is sometimes you don't want to dampen the string, and so you don't replace. For example, on the way down, listen to this. I want all that to resound. I want all that to sound. If I replace it going down, I just got rid of it. Do you hear that? So sometimes you don't want to do that. So again, there's no 100% right way to do something. But anyway, those are some handy, helpful hints. All right, hope that helped. And place, pluck, place, pluck. Same deal. Oh, I should tell you this too when you're doing arpeggios. Essentially what I'm doing is I am finding the whole GBD chord. I'm finding the GBD chord as a placement. I'm finding the GBD chord, and I'm grabbing that G on the way down. I'm finding GBD and spelling it backwards, and I replace it, and I replace it. You can tell I'm a piano player. This is the same way you do it, and also in piano land. Once one hand is done, you start moving it and placing it. So watch. Move it, move it, stay there, move it. So be well ahead of playing it. I'm already moved down. Think of the alternative, which is what most people do in the beginning, and I have to teach my kids, oh, no, you have to do it like a flow like this. You don't wait till the last possible minute and then move your hand all of a sudden, because guess what? You're probably going to miss it. And that's the same applies to me. So thank you for listening, and ooh, the birds have stopped. Where did they go? I don't know. Okay. Talk to you later. Thank you. So here's two afterthoughts. One of which is that when you have, remember I was telling you about, here's my hands, you're going up, 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 and then you have that, the top note, playing the air harp right now. You don't hit the top note twice, and you go, you go down, up, and down. That's indicated in your music with an overlapping bracket right at your thumb. So you'll see 4, 3, 2, 1 bracketed. You'll also see 1, 2, 3, 4 bracketed, and there's going to be an overlap over that 1, your thumb. The other thing too is that if you notice, again, it's that sort of needlework, crochet hook type of concept where you usually have at least one, usually, loop on your hook. You're never completely off of the fabric that you're making. It's the same idea on the harp in that you notice you're sort of kind of crawling around. You're kind of like a little spider kind of creeping off. The spider doesn't jump off the harp and come back on and jump off on. So, and then off and on again. So just kind of keep your hand close. It's the same thing I was talking about with swatting, is that I see piano kids do this all the time, especially when I'm teaching staccato, where you play a short note. I actually teach staccato legato first, so that they get everything placed and that they keep their fingers low to the keys. Staccato doesn't mean you go into the stratosphere with your hand, and then come right back down. You always want to keep basically placed and just, pull off the note. It's actually kind of a flick on the piano. That's not quite the right way to describe it, but you are generally touching the note. And think of this too, if you're trying to create a line that has a crescendo or some kind of shape, it could be a timing shape, it could be a dynamic shape, it could be some sort of articulation variety, who knows. But if you're constantly taking your hand on and off and not creeping around and crawling around the piano, keeping your fingers low, and same applies harp, it's going to be a lot harder to create that overall flow from note to note because you're constantly disjointing it. If your body is involved on piano, my entire body's involved. Those shapes are really easy to make if you allow your body to go through. On harp, I noticed it's very similar. Every instrument's different. I remember when I first was learning viola, and you cannot move. I mean, I suppose you can, but the body you can move on. Obviously, you see players flailing all over the place, but the physical mechanism is very different, and where you're anchoring from your stomach, etc., etc. So you can't, like I was going at the viola like a piano player, which is slam bang and throw all your body weight, and try to do that on a viola. Good luck. You have to learn how to manage everything. But I do think the same sort of concepts apply. So anyway, hope that helped. Those are my afterthoughts. And I'm going to, let's say, I'm going to say hi to the kitty. All right, say hi. Say hi to kitty. No, he doesn't say hi. He's sleeping. All right, good night, y'all.